Welcome to the Be Kind podcast. We're part of the Animal Advocates of South Central PA's mission to spread compassion for animals in a peaceful and respectful way. This is Joe Kirkner, the Director of Operations, here with John Beck again, Director of Media, and Dieter, who is the Secretary, correct?
Correct.
Yep, Secretary. Here to talk about all things vegan and see what's been going on. So we're going to start off by talking about how we've been veganing out over the past week. I think it's always cool to share how we've been vegan and not necessarily with food. So I don't like to talk about what we eat because then I would have nothing to talk about because I eat really boring stuff. But I got a book on fish and what fish feel and think, and lo and behold, fish are crazy and we totally don't understand them at all. But also reminds me of another book I read once about this lady who was super into octopuses, octopi. Like really into them. It really creeped me out. So it's kind of flashbacks from that too.
Was it the Jonathan Balcom, What a Fish Knows?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a great book, yeah.
Yeah, so far so good. But the octopus one, not so great. I would not read that one unless you have a strange fixation with octopuses. And then there's websites for that.
Well, they're scary smart too.
They're very smart. Like they can open doors and like play games and stuff like that and do all kinds of crazy
I saw a movie
smart
or
things.
documentary once that said once the human race leaves planet Earth, it's going to be taken over by super intelligent octopuses that'll swing from trees.
Sounds fun.
Right.
Kind of sad I'm going to miss that.
Yeah, I'm not going to have nightmares about that tonight or anything.
So, John, how have you been veganing out?
Well, I've been walking the dogs a lot, cooking a lot of food. Next week I plan to make Pennsylvania Dutch pot pie. Yeah, it's been pretty boring. Not a whole lot going on. I've been playing Dr. Mario a lot for regular Nintendo, NES. Yeah, it's been boring.
All right, Dieter, you're up.
I've been working, so aside from not having to drive to Camp Hill and back every day, not a whole lot has changed. Saving money on gas and food, but yeah, not a huge disruption for me.
And I wasn't going to talk about companion animals, but my cat just jumped up on Dieter's lap. So, Dieter, what do you think about cats and Victor? Victor's my black cat. He's very soft and very cuddly.
What do I think about
Cats and my cat specifically.
Yeah, I guess people keep cats. It's always kind of a sticky subject because it's much harder for cats to be vegan or vegetarian than it is for dogs, and that's a huge point of contention. Because from what I've heard from like people in the veterinary field is that if you are feeding your cat a meat-free diet and you're not doing it correctly, the cat will be very, very sick before you have any indication that anything's wrong. So that people that do that should have their cats tested regularly. But it is kind of a sticky thing. It's like, well, here's this creature that's personable and likes hanging out with us, and we like hanging out with them. But how many creatures do we kill to sustain this one?
I think it comes down to just animals. Not all animals eating other animals is bad. Like, you don't go out into the woods and start yelling at wolves for eating deer.
Oh, absolutely.
But I guess if you look, we're not using free-range mice to feed our cats, I guess is what it comes down to. We're using the byproducts of the stuff we eat, or presumably eat. And my cat is snuggling up against Dieter's microphone, trying to subtly tell him to get closer to the mic.
Right.
It's pretty cute.
Yeah, so that's my cat. He just jumps up on people's laps. I don't know why he's so friendly all of a sudden.
Yeah, because I live alone, and I always think about having a companion animal, which I know Joe likes that term, and that I would have to get a cat because I'm away from home for so long every day, and just the whole issue of what to feed a cat is largely what's kept me away from it.
Yeah, that's the one nice thing about cats is you can just kind of leave them food and water and let them go for a day or so and they'll be all right.
Yeah, and
dogs, it's like they're so dependent on you. It's like it's kind of like having a child.
Well, and I mostly consider myself to be more dog person than cat person. Mm-hmm. But there's times when like I can't take dog energy, It's just like
Right.
go over to the other side of the room and have your own life for a little bit.
Right.
Kind of thing, which cats are very good at doing. So.
Yes.
Cats are like slow cookers. You can just set them and forget them. And then,
Yeah.
well, I've always been a dog person too, but then I got a greyhound, and greyhounds aren't really dogs. They're kind of like giant cats. Right now, my greyhound is asleep on a couch, and he has been asleep on that couch for good 80% of the day. And he sleeps at night too. So all he does is sleep.
Right. And I'm sure former racers aren't like socialized normally either, so it may not even just be a breed characteristic so much as his unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah, he's starting to learn how to be a dog, but not really. He's cute though. All right, so John, anything new with your dogs?
Not really. Peaches has been cute and
Find anything cool on a walk?
no, nothing too exciting lately. Yeah, our walks have been pretty boring actually, and there's nobody out, so no one's like, "Oh, cute dog" or anything like that. So, oh, actually, I do have a story. So, I was walking Peaches, and I saw some EMTs that were on their smoke break because that's what you should do if you're an EMT. But they were hanging out behind their ambulance, and Peaches got really excited, so we went over and we were talking to them, and they're like, "Oh, that's a beautiful dog," and yeah, they were just like talking about how everything's been kind of crazy lately, and
Does Mullet ever feel left out when everybody's complimenting Peaches?
No, he gets told that, "Hey, is that dog pregnant?" So no, Mullet actually gets a lot of attention because I've brought him the free hugs and stuff like that, so he gets a lot of attention too. So he's kind of like a little celebrity with the free hugs thing. But Peaches is on her own little her own world. I'm sure you're hearing all that crazy noise. That was the cat smacking the microphone with his tail. Sorry.
Oh, maybe like my grandmother. All cats are girls, all dogs are boys. That's how that works.
Apparently.
Are your dogs chick magnets? 'Cause people always say dogs are chick magnets, and I don't.
If they
believe
are,
it.
I haven't noticed.
Me neither. My dog, I call him a creepy old man magnet. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but not my target demographic.
Most of the time nobody talks to me. They talk to the dog, and I'm just kind of there.
Well, that's a start, though.
I guess so.
Proximity is key.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons we asked Dieter to be here today is because he actually has a really interesting vegan journey story, not like the stereotypical I was blind and then I saw a story and now I'm vegan and everything's great and I never get sick and blah, 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 blah. Insert social media post here. He actually has one that I think could speak more in depth to some of the challenges we as a movement face and as activists face a lot when we have these conversations. So without further ado, I will pass the ball over to Dieter.
Okay, so I don't know all my dates real exactly, but I'm on my second time around as a vegan. I was first vegan or vegetarian and then vegan from like the late 80s into the mid 90s, fell completely off the wagon for 5, 6, 7 years, then went vegetarian again, and then after a good many years, vegan again about, I think 6 years ago now, 7, I'm not sure anymore. I'm not one of these people that knows my veganversary. But yeah, I've been full circle twice. I've seen statistics online that like 70 to 80% of vegans don't stay vegan for life. So I kind of use that statistic, and my personal story is kind of evidence for vegans to be gentle with former vegans. That not everybody does this for life. Some of us come back after we fall off the wagon, and you don't want to be the person that alienates them so much that they're hardened against the idea of ever coming back to veganism.
Now, why did you originally go vegan?
This is probably another unique aspect. My atheism led me to veganism, which is odd. Like most people would say, like even most atheists that are vegan would say, what was my humanism, probably. But I'm going strictly with the atheism on this one. I was hanging out with some friends, and I didn't even hear most of the argument, but two of them were arguing about medical testing and vivisection. I think of monkeys specifically. And I just overheard the one friend say to the other, well, that doesn't matter because they don't have souls. And I thought, well, I don't think anything has a soul. So how is that sort of thing justified? And this was at way back in the 80s. In New York, we had a under 21 club called Big City, and that's where this happened. And I went with after Big City shut down that night, I went to Baltimore with a girl to another all ages club that was open like all night, and had, I think, like a McDonald's or Hardee's breakfast biscuit with some sort of bacon or something. But I thought about that all night and had that biscuit on the way home in the morning or whatever, and that was the last meat I ate for 7 or so years. Just thinking about, well, if we don't have souls, what makes them food or objects and us people?
Totally not related to veganism, but is it under 21 club only under 21-year-olds allowed?
No, because I didn't drink. I went there as a 21-year-old a few times, but it was mostly kids. Like, at that age, the difference between being 21 and 15 or 16 is like decades now. So like it wasn't a whole lot of fun hanging out with kids necessarily back then.
I thought it'd be like on their 21st birthday, they have a very melancholy birthday party as they say goodbye to their friend
Right, yeah.
who was never allowed back.
You sail off into the sunset.
So then I suppose the next question is, why did you stop being vegan the first time?
There wasn't one specific reason. One of the reasons is because in the early 90s it was hard as shit. But I know people like Grace from ARI who's been vegan since then. But I lived in Stewartstown in southern York County. There was Morningstar stuff at the grocery store, and that was about it. And once I went vegan, there wasn't even that. So I would drive to Avatar's Golden Nectar, which was like a new agey kind of health food store in New Cumberland. I'd go there like once every 2 weeks or so just to get stuff I couldn't get at the grocery store. But yeah, it was a combination of different factors, but it was hard. I didn't have a support group. I think I knew 1 or 2 vegetarians at the time, but I never met another vegan the first time I was vegan. I had a bad breakup and lost my job roughly within the same couple of months in the year that I fell off the wagon. And I think I was just kind of angry and frustrated and depressed, and
So it was a whole combination of
it was
things.
just like, I'm just going to do this easy now. I think was kind of what happened to me, because I never really got past the ethical objections. I just was at a place where I think I just didn't care for a little bit.
So it sounds like you're a big fan of things like the Impossible Whopper and the mainstreaming of vegan food.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's aside from being mean to ex-vegans, another thing that really irritates me about the movement is these hardcore activist people that kind of poo-poo people having get-togethers at restaurants or potlucks or whatever, and they're like, food isn't activism. And food is absolutely activism when 70 to 80% of us aren't going to keep doing it. Anything you can do to comfort another vegan, make it easier for people to go or stay vegan, a support network, any of that kind of stuff is absolutely activism in my book. Anything that makes it easier to go or stay vegan matters a whole lot.
I agree.
So then I guess the next logical question is, why did you go vegan again?
I think after a couple of years about not having to care about the ethical implications of my diet, like I said, I never really addressed that. I just kind of didn't let myself care for a little bit, so it crept back in, and I stopped eating meat. And after a few years, I got to a point where I was so close to being vegan again that I thought, well, I might as well just go vegan again, because I was never a big dairy consumer. So it was like, and I didn't really keep eggs at home. It was just like, I'm almost there. I should just do it again. And then after a year or two, I think through John being friends with my brother, I found Anna's Facebook group and all the meetups, and it was like, oh, there's a community now, and I don't have to be vegan alone. So that definitely a big factor too.
Nice.
The Facebook group he's referring to is the South Central PA. I don't know how to say this word.
I think she says vegans.
It's vegans, but instead of an A, there's an asterisk.
Right, because it's inclusive of vegetarians, and in olden days computers we used asterisks as a wild card to represent any number of characters, because it's weird that there's like highly tech savvy kids these days that look at that asterisk and they're like, what's that there for? It's like, well, back in the old days we had this wild card thing.
I don't know if it's like this on Google, but on JSTOR, if you search for things, if you put asterisks at the end of the word, it includes all versions of that word. So if you look up cat with an asterisk, it could be cats, cat, catted, catting.
Catastrophe.
Maybe. I don't know.
Cataclysm.
So what has your interactions been with, when you were an ex-vegan, what were your interactions like with other vegans, if you saw any? Because it sounds like that was kind of an issue.
Yeah, I didn't know any. Didn't meet them. They weren't around.
Well, I guess that's part of the reason why you were an ex-vegan, because there weren't any around to yell at you to stay vegan.
Although I've got a contrarian streak a mile wide. I mean, if somebody had yelled at me to stay vegan, it probably wouldn't have helped much. It probably would have been detrimental, which is another reason I'm always like, don't shit on ex-vegans, because you're going to push them away. We want them back.
Right.
And browbeating them makes you feel good, and it lets you vent your anger and your frustration, but it's contrary to what your actual goal is. And I think as activists, we need to think about not like I need to speak my truth or I need to be righteous and indignant about things. We have to be strategic and think about what behavior is best going to get the result I want and focus on that. I think a lot of activism is based around making ourselves feel good, when sometimes it's not as productive as we could be.
I completely agree with that last statement. A lot of times people do the Facebook post or go to the event or something like that just to make themselves feel better about it. But if they think about how that actually contributes to the movement, maybe the net positive isn't quite in your favor. But I love the idea of being sympathetic to ex-vegans, because I know you've all gotten the question I used to get from my grandma all the time. Are you going to be vegan forever? And my answer to that is, I left my crystal ball at home, so I can't tell you that right now, but because I don't know. Maybe tomorrow I'll go to the doctor and he'll say, Joe, if you don't eat this steak, you will drop dead. I don't know if that's a thing. I'm sure people share many blog posts with me, but that's just an example.
No, there's absolutely doctors out there that'll tell you that, because most doctors don't know anything about nutrition. So if they have a patient with any kind of issue that looks like it's based around nutrition, they'll say, oh, well, you should just go back to eating meat. And it's like, well, no, you as a doctor, you should either research the actual science of that nutrition, or you should refer your patient to a dietitian to find a solution that fits with their ethical choices that meets their dietary needs. But just most doctors just take the easy way and like, oh, we should just go back to eating meat.
And I think people who don't know what you just said and all the reasons behind doctors just take what their doctor says as gospel. Yeah. He said to the atheist, and will listen to it and not critically think or analyze or do their own research or consulting with other professionals, and then just say, all right, I guess I gotta eat meat again. Because honestly, it's not easy being vegan even now sometimes. So if you kind of have it out almost, maybe that'd be kind of nice. To say, well, I have to eat meat now, so there, doctor said so. I'm off the hook.
Yeah, because I think every vegan has met somebody who says, oh, that's so hard. I had a friend that was vegan and they got really sick and their doctor told them they had to switch back. And I always say, well, I'm sorry your friend didn't know how to feed themselves, but there's no human dietary need that can't be met on a vegan diet. They just had a bad doctor.
John, you've been vegan for a really long time. What has been the secret to your success?
I guess just willpower. I don't know. It's coming up on 14 years now, which is crazy because it just feels like it was yesterday to me. Really, I mean, I don't know. It just it's so easy to do now, and I also call myself a pastatarian because I eat a lot of pasta.
Oh, yeah, it's so much easier.
Yeah, and there's so much you can do with that too. So
and people know what it means.
Right.
Like in the early 90s, if I went into a restaurant and asked my server, well, what do you have that's vegan? They would have said, what the hell is vegan?
Right. No, it's becoming a household name.
And now at least they say, oh, we've got a salad and some French fries.
Right.
But there's so many places that have options now, too. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's crazy. I mean, like you said, it's becoming a household name, and it's I'm seeing commercials for vegan stuff now. It's like, wow.
When I went to eat out back in the day and I didn't want French fries, it was Taco Bell, because they were pioneers in
Right.
switching refried beans into everything. And ironically, Haas's Steakhouse, because they had such a good salad bar back then.
But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It feels good seeing all these things coming out now, because, I mean, yeah, even 5 years ago, there wasn't stuff like there is now, but there was even less when I first went vegan. I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? This is going to be really hard, because I loved mac and cheese. I was addicted to cheese. Like, it was bad. Like, I remember when I was like vegetarian, my friend and I, we used to go to Giant, and we would get a big block of blue cheese and sit in the parking lot of Giant and eat this block of blue cheese by itself, like nothing on it, just eating it. It was so gross, but we loved it because it was blue cheese and it was delicious.
Well, and I think that might be part of the root of the problem of people that went vegetarian and got really sick, is because a lot of people try to just get all their protein from dairy,
right,
or all their perceived need for protein just by loading up on dairy, and that shit will make you feel miserable.
Right, yeah. And I every time I did it, I was like, why am I doing this to myself? I feel like crap. Like, but as soon as I went vegan, I was like, oh my God, like I feel great. Like it was just almost like immediately within like days, I was like, I could tell the difference. And then like I started losing weight and stuff, and I'm like, wow, like I should have done this a long time ago. And then I just,
health-wise, I think dairy's way more noticeable, at least to the person eating the diet. I don't know the science. I haven't looked at statistics, but I think just like perception-wise, cutting out dairy makes people feel way better than cutting out meat does.
It just drags you down. It feels like, well, and I'm lactose intolerant, so I was just constantly like getting sick after eating ice cream and stuff like that. And it was like, why am I doing this to myself? Stop it. Stop being an idiot. So that was pretty much my reason. And I just haven't had a reason to look back and do that. But I get it that some people fall off the wagon and everything. So, but it's getting easier for people not to do that anymore. So, yay.
Yeah, and I think people figured out that they didn't need to eat animals once. It's going to be easier for them to figure it out a second time.
We're silently laughing over here because my dog is rolling back and forth on the couch, flailing his legs in the air.
It's pretty funny to see.
And then he'll just flop down and stay still, and then he'll start again.
He's going to fall off the couch.
It's happened. It's pretty hilarious. Yeah, and John's also the pioneer of another vegan Facebook group, Fat
Ass Vegans are awesome.
And speaking of pasta, I joined it recently. Like every other post is just a pasta stir fry. So here's pasta with some vegan crap in it.
I posted some rice noodles to that last night. So
I also posted.
Is that technically pasta?
I would think so.
That's a good question. Oh, there he goes.
My dog just fell off the couch.
But Fat Ass Vegans are awesome is a food porn page on Facebook. People post up lots of pictures of food and recipes and stuff like that. It's pretty fun.
I keep trying to make something worth posting up there, but I keep failing miserably. Next time I make a grilled peanut butter and banana sandwich, I'll put it up there.
Ooh.
So any other advice, dear, you give to ex-vegans or people thinking about going vegan that have been ex-vegan?
It's easier than it's ever been. So like if difficulty was one of the factors that pushed you away, come on back, because you can go to Hardee's or Burger King or Mod Pizza or any number of like super easy convenience food places, and they all have vegan options now.
And if you need help, we can help you with our website. We actually have a restaurant list, and we have all kinds of helpful hints on how to go vegan.
Yep. So and we have the South Central PA Vegans group to give you a kind of instant social support network and all kinds of stuff. It's super easy now.
And same with Fat Ass Vegans. You can also join that group. There's thousands of people in there, and it's worldwide, and people are pretty supportive on there. So yeah, join in.
And our website is animaladvocatesscpa.com. Animaladvocatesscpa.com has everything they're just talking about and more if you want to check it out. And speaking of animal advocates, as I said at the beginning of the show, we're part of that organization, and this is the part where I normally like to give an update on the upcoming events, but I didn't want to mention this. Right now, the coronavirus is a thing, so no one knows anything about anything in the future, so I really can't, in good conscience, give you an update on upcoming events because no one knows anything.
Yeah, if it happens, I guess Go Green in the City is our first tabling event.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say
But
that's probably not gonna happen.
yeah, that's like Earth Day, third weekend in April, so that's probably not going to happen.
But we'll have a bunch of cool virtual stuff probably coming up, like this podcast.
Yes, and I will be I'm going to go shoot Filbert and Friends in a little bit. So
You probably shouldn't shoot them. 'cause
no, I probably
that'd be
shouldn't.
Pretty
But
bad.
shooting is bad. Don't do that. But I'll be filming a new episode shortly after this, and yeah, there'll be lots of content. So keep posted.
And since everyone is stuck at home, we have plenty of opportunities to film more podcast episodes. So if you want to be a part of it, contact our Facebook page or email bekindpodcast@gmail.com and we'll get you on the show. We don't even have to leave your house. We can call you in. It's great. Technology.
Woohoo!
So thanks again for listening, everybody, and stay tuned for another episode coming up soon.